Now this is known as the Discover Scuba Diving Experience, or DSD, where he tells us a bit about the equipment, how to use it. He then takes us in the pool, going underwater, and gets us so keen that we sign up for the full course. Well, Carl did exactly that. He talked about tanks and air and valves, regulators, BCDs, inflation, deflation, equalizing, ascent rates and decompression sickness. I didn't know what he was talking about. He completely lost me. But I was hooked. And his personality shone through, and I liked him from that moment. He had his saying that scuba diving was like sinking gracefully. And I never heard that from anybody else. That was his saying, and I use it now when I'm helping other people through their scuba journey. You probably can't see these too well. That's Carl in the water with a student. Carl was the go-to guy for these DSDs. Every week he'd be in the classroom getting to know the students, preparing them for their dives. He'd get them in the pool, teach them some basic knowledge of how to use the kit and some underwater skills. Being able to see and breathe underwater for the first time can be a shocking and emotional experience, but Carl's calming, knowledgeable presence often resulted in tears of joy and a lot of fun. A few months after I passed on it, we'd occasionally go to the pub after a pool night. Sometimes there'd be up to 10 of us there, chatting like you do, until it was home time. And it was then that Carl would say he had to go home.